quarter of a cup of her blood, and it made me feel euphoric.
It was like tasting pure power.
Pretty much drinking blood was the only option.
I've had people tell me that my blood tastes really good to them.
A lot of people would want to be actually drinking the blood.
If I could stop drinking blood, I definitely would.
About real-life vampires in America, I had no idea what to expect. Could there really be people out there, especially in an age where blood-borne diseases like AIDS and hepatitis are commonplace and the risks are so high? The scene I unearthed both surprised and shocked me. My journey begins in New York, where the goth scene clearly reflects America's fascination with the dark side. This scene has splintered, diversified and branched out into various subsets. One of these subsets is the vampire community. When I heard about this scene, images of the Hollywood stereotype flashed through my mind. But the sexual license, charisma and transcending qualities of the vampire and made it their own. Even just walking down the street in broad daylight, you can run into self-identified vampires. It seems the outcasts are attracted to the vampire scene because it seems to offer them stability, a sense of being a rebellious alternative to normal society.
Vampire scene was the icing on the cake for me.
Pretty much most of us has been like the outskirts, like the outcast of families who need something and for other ways to belong. The things I tell people when they tell me that I'm a freak, I'm a vampire, whatever they call me, all I say is, well, I am who I am, and you are who you are. If you don't like it, that's too bad.
You say, why is he looking all weird and all? And usually my first response is, why do you look so normal?
Parents basically think that, I have issues because of the way I act. They think that, if I don't follow their footsteps, that I'm queer, I'm gay, I have issues. I need to go to a mental hospital because there's something wrong with me because I choose to express myself differently than most people.
Most teenagers are referred to as to dress up, hang out in gangs, and for the most part are pretty harmless. But I had heard that there were people called who took their roles much more seriously, even to the point where they drank human blood. The teenagers I met told me about a costume shop downtown where I would find a lifestyler who specializes in making fangs.
This is Halloween Adventure, costume shops and special effects shops in the city. We have a lot of interesting stuff for the Halloween season, which we are in right now. So it's very busy right now, very busy. We get all different types of people come in here. I mean, police officers, doctors, lawyers, performers, everything. There's a lot of stuff that's the need that's out there, and it's all under one roof. There's definitely a vampire community that does exist all around the world in different areas. New York has a rather large one. I'm sure there are other areas that have even bigger communities.
Vincent told me that he'd been in the scene for years. I thought he might know about blood drinking, or perhaps he'd even drunk blood.
As far as the drinking of blood within, the fact that, hey, we're all vampires drink blood, yes. For the most part, it don't happen. For the most part, many people, it's too dangerous. Now, if it's something that's done in your personal, in an appropriate place, you're doing it as part of a ritual or something like that, and hey, that's what you do. Blood drinking has been something that's been around for eons.
Do you yourself drink blood?
I have, and like I said, it's just sharing it. That's only done. I've only had 2 or 3 individuals in my time who I've deemed worthy in my eyes to drink of mine and I drink of theirs. And it's not a lot. I mean, a pinprick is all that I feel is necessary. Like I said, I know people who want to and just, have a glass full, like a beer. That's, to me, that's overdoing it. It's not the
I then followed Vincent to a hidden room at the back of the shop, known only as the Transfertorium.
We try to keep it well hidden behind our little pink kimono here. Secret door.
They tell us what fangs they want, what style. We take them in the back and we take a dental impression, which is, you know, we take the impression, put stone in it. This is basically what the person's teeth look like. And then I take acrylic and I mold it to the teeth. Then I shave them down from this till they look kind of like this is a really bad example of a fang, but this is the only thing I have laying around right now. But we carve it down to somewhat of a shape, like a pointed shape. Season. Automatically, everybody wants fangs because everybody wants to be a vampire for Halloween and everybody wants to have the best costume. But the cheapest set we have is the classic canine, which is on the canine teeth, or the Lilith, which is right next to the canine, right in front. I am the only person who has blood grooves in my fangs. In fact, I'll show you. Just take these off. The blood groove right here, basically, like, I like knives. Like, I'm big on knives. A knife, or a fang, is a stabbing weapon. When you stab, you know, it acts like a cork. When you release from the body, the skin closes, and that doesn't release a lot of blood. This, you stick it right in and keep it in, and the blood will come after the blood groove. That's what the blood groove is. I just think it's a very intimidating look, and I thought it would be cool if it could be done. So I had to make it. I don't drink blood. Whatever, you know, it's still a pretty cool look.
As Sinner sat there filing down fangs, I wondered if he was curious about what kind of people bought them and what they might use them for.
Do I look at people and for? Sometimes. It depends on what they're really talking about back here. It depends on how they look. Some people, you can look at them and just tell they're using this for a costume party. There's a costume party going on and they want to be... Other people come back here and it's just like, I really wonder what they're doing. You know, I wonder what they plan on doing with these fangs.
Leaving Sinner and wandering around the shop, I met someone else who made me realise that is more than just a dress code and could be potentially dangerous.
I am very intimate with my blood drinking. It generally tends to be something to enhance sex. Maybe a bite in the thigh area, very close to an arterial vein, kind of go from there. I've been a lot more lately because I've been getting more and more intimate with my girlfriend. And she has kind of a vampire fetish.
Ghost told me that he performs within the vampire club scene, which has its own preferred entertainment for those who can stomach it.
Tomorrow evening, we are doing what is stigmatic crucifixion. We are doing all 5 injuries of Christ. We are doing the nails through the palms, nails through the feet, the crown of thorns, the heart slash. We're also going to be doing piercings along my mouth, cheekbones, through my cheeks, and through my eyebrows, making it appear as if my face has been sewn shut.
What's gonna happen tonight? Blood, mayhem, destruction, the end.
The party that's here tonight is pretty much a very large gathering of my fellow vampire scene. Yeah, of course, there are a lot of people here who have not been here before. They're going to see a show that's very risque. People who are relatively new to what's going on tonight, or are going to see things for the first time. You got to experience it one time before you know whether you like it or not.
What we're going to be doing to Sinner tonight is going to be transforming him into Pinhead from...
Hair off so they can, you know, paint my whole head up and put needles in it.
The character in the film that we're transforming him into completely has no body hair of any sort, white skin with a grid painted on him, needles at every cross section.
It might turn them off, they might leave, but then it might awaken something in them that will more and more of what that entertainment is.
Tonight, as part of the performance, I'll be having, I do believe, will be 17 needles inserted into my arms and back with feathers attached to it. It's sort of a, whereas I'm being given wings. My parents don't really mind what I do as long as I'm not killing children or small animals or doing some other horrible. They don't mind, they think of me as an individual and they haven't decided to disown me yet, so I assume that they're pretty okay. I am 19 years old.
Vampire community to us is it's a tight-knit family. We all get along together, we like to hang out together. This is why we have these type of clubs where people can come and enjoy this type of thing.
We have a mixed group. We have people vampire enthusiasts that don't actually engage in any vampiric activities, but they like the aesthetic of the vampire in a certain way. They like wearing fangs, they like listening to music that is associated with the gothic vampire community. Of course, there are people that will actually engage in some ritualistic vampire practices, but it's not a publicized thing. So people keep that.
You guys drunk blood before?
Yes. We have drunk blood before, absolutely. But you know, it's from people that we know, friends, willing volunteers. No, never just run out in the street and bite somebody's neck and not like that.
Some people actually will exchange blood between partners. In a lot of cases, it's a relationship type of bond, where there may be two people that care about each other deeply that exchange blood in a way to have a bond with each other. I would like to be viewed as a vampire, but I would never actually want people to know whether or not I was drinking blood because I like the mystique. I like people would look at me and say, wow, she looks like a vampire. I wonder if she actually is one.
As the desire for blood performance art increases in vampire clubs, I discovered that the line between entertainment and self-mutilation become blurred.
I hear a lot of people saying, oh my God, it's crazy. How could you put 1,000 needles through your skin over the place and paint walls with it? And how could you drink it and share it and this, that, and the other thing? But hey, if they don't want to deal with it, that's their loss, not mine. I'm always taking every show as far as I possibly can. I've gotten to points where it's passing out. I have a high tolerance, I'm used to it. This is something I do overnight.
During the days is where I make my money, and I do piercings and minor implants and scarification. What we're doing is piercing a lip web under the top lip, which holds her lip to her palate. I don't step into anything I don't think I can walk away from. In the beginning is all the basic stuff. Male nipples, verticals and horizontals, and then into navels, double navels, triple navels, horizontal navels, just all different stuff done. I've been involved in relationships where blood has been involved for quite a while. So ever since like my early teens, since originally first dating. All facial piercings, ear piercings, earls, double earls. It all started way back in the day with the sitting in the clubhouse with all the boys and slitting our thumbs open and becoming. That was actually probably what kicked it in originally. Tongue webbings, snake bites, double tongues. Your blood and body fluids and this, that, and the other thing, not understanding that a lot of your body fluids, be it blood or semen or urine or anything like that, it held rights in other situations. It's more than just a body fluid. You know, people don't understand that nowadays. They're afraid of it because of the society that they're in, because of the movies they see, news that they watch on TV, and they either display blood with disease or death or pain or and stuff like that, and which leads back to the fact again that they're forgetting what it's really about. And they're being tuned out by everything around them. It's keeping them away from what's real, and it's a shame. It's a real shame, and that's why I keep it going by doing bloodlettings and doing implants and doing needle art and stuff like that. I do it so that it gets out there. And what I do is very visual. First we start off with some drum play, and that's just to bring the people, the rooms. After a few minutes of drum playing, and then I'll go into a needle play, and that'll start me into a small state-like trance. Endorphins.
I'll do as many needles as I possibly can in the length of time I have to do it. Where the needles are placed and the pattern that they're placed all has meaning to it. After we do a needle play, we'll do a bloodletting, and we'll try to collect up as much blood as possible. Time your arms and your legs kind of get a little numb, your face will get really numb, and then you'll start getting tunnel vision. It's a fine line between being awake and not being awake. Due to the amount of blood in your body, it's a very fine line. Once you're not awake, if you continue to bleed after not being awake, then that's the end of that. You really don't have much more to go to there before you just won't be able to wake up out of it.
Have you ever come that close?
I try to as much as possible, yeah. I try to force the factor as much as possible, but still lines of making sure that I can pull out of it if I have to. A lot of people during performances will want to be involved in the blood play, be it whether touching the blood or rubbing the blood on themselves or actually drinking. For the rest of their lives, my blood, my genetic code, and everything is now in their body. I get called for it, you know. If they want it, they can have it. Anyone for the first drink it down, your body would reject it, so you'd probably get really sick the first couple of times. I'll only share blood. Blood is fresh. After the bloodletting, my girlfriend paints with the blood. She does artwork and background canvas, or she'll just grab something out of the room and start painting with it or on it or whatever the case is. I don't get paid for this. I don't make money. Sometimes some of the artwork I'll make money on, whatever the case is. I do live in New York. I do have food to eat, and I do have bills to pay. But as far as rituals go, as far as sacrifice goes, as far as all that goes, I'm always taking every show as far as I possibly can. Pretty much taking it to the limit on my own extent, trying to get my pleasure out of it as much as possible. I'm alive, so I haven't done anything that wrong yet.
The west coast of America has a thriving vampire scene, so I left New York and headed for Los Angeles. My first encounter just outside LA was with an exceptional role within the blood drinking community.
The Near Dark Pub is a vampire bar out in Hollywood. Every year they name a new spigot girl. A spigot out here is considered to be a out of. They call that a spigot. That's why they gave me that nickname. And because I was the one that donated the most blood within a certain amount of time and made bumper stickers after it too. When I went to school, no, I wasn't popular. I knew all the outcasts. The popular kids didn't like me, and I just didn't like them either. One of the groups that I did hang out with at my school were the basic goth group. They were amazing. I mean, they didn't hang out with anybody else. As I further got into the goth scene, and we were talking about how she had a donor which she drank blood from. A really close friend of hers, and I decided why not. So that's when I started, and I let her drink for me.
What did she do?
She cut me, and from there she just drank my blood. Being drank from, it's not exactly a reality high. It's a spiritual, high, relaxed type feeling. I've been donating blood for about 5 years, ever since I was 15.
Do your parents know what you do?
Actually, no, they don't. My parents have no idea. My mother has seen my scars before, but she asked me what happened, and I'd tell her, oh, I accidentally scraped myself when I was picking up a box, or something like that. I wouldn't exactly tell her how I got it. And I'm going to the Near Dark Pub in Hollywood. It takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get there, depending on traffic. Everybody gathers there from around the area of Hollywood and drinks and has fun and also drinks blood. We are now walking into the Near Dark pub. Near Dark pub is actually a lot of fun. They play a lot of industrial and goth type music. They have candles everywhere, and they also do other unusual things like light. When I go there and I donate, I'll go up to one of my friends and just say, hey, you know, do you want to go out back? Want me to donate? And usually we'd talk for a second and then we'd go, and usually into a dark back corner. Go ahead and do it, or donate blood.
She's had clothes on, she's been in a smoky place, so anything that's going to go into her body is going to pick up anything that's on the surface of her skin and would wind up going into her. So first we have to sterilize the area. Right over here? Is that good? Right there?
Have you fed from Amanda in the past, Sue?
Yes, I have fed off of Amanda before. She's very nice.
Whenever I donate, my friends use on me or sometimes they use razors or knives. I've had people tell me that my blood tastes really good to them. It's not bad or bitter.
What is it?
It feels very, very, very good. It takes a while for it to take effect, but the beginning of it, the actual taking, feels very, very good because it's the foreknowledge. I know what I'm going to feel like in just a little while. And that should do. I don't want.
On donating blood, I would do it not all the time. I had to stop because of my scars of them, and they weren't all the way healed yet. And I didn't want to get myself cut up anymore until those other ones healed, because it'd be just having to handle every single one of them all the time, and just I don't want to have to deal with having to patch myself up all the time.
Yeah, we're going to go back in now and rejoin everyone.
I've been told that finding is not easy, and Amanda is considered extremely valuable for those like Sue, who refer to themselves as blood addicts. Even though there is no addictive component in human, it can be rewarding psychologically, and some people will go to extraordinary lengths to do so.
Some of the times when I'm feeding, I do lose myself. It could almost be compared to when a drunk blacks out. I have cut a couple of people very badly. They have had to go to the hospital and get stitches. There was one person that myself and another person were feeding off of, and we both weren't paying attention, and she wound up very weak from blood loss. One time I had cut myself pretty badly, and normal reaction is you take your, I cut myself, stick your hand in your mouth and suck the blood. And I thought to myself, wait, that actually tastes pretty good. And I actually sucked down quite a bit. This friend of mine at school had actually offered to cut herself, and I said, sure, I'll try it. So she cut herself, and I drank probably about a quarter of a cup of blood off of her. And it was very, very strange because it was the same effect as before, only it was much more powerful. I felt very euphoric, almost as if I had taken. I don't encounter very many people who would come up to me and say, well, you're an idiot, I don't understand why you're doing this. You're obviously battling some inner demons if you feel that in order to fulfill your life you have to drink blood. I don't talk to too many people outside of the scene about it, and not many people outside of the scene know that I do it. The only person who really does know is my boyfriend, and he's 100% supportive.
You know, Sue told me about her blood drinking basically Michael, you're a really nice guy. I just want to tell you something. I mean, she was very proper about it. If she doesn't feed in a while, you will notice some very characteristic things about not feeding. Irritable. She might get a little sick. She doesn't talk well. You know, she'll just want to hide in a corner. She won't want to go out and do things, except to go out. And I just sort of have to go along with it.
Craving blood is very unpleasant. If I haven't fed for, say, 4 or 5 weeks, I do get pain. I get stomach pains. My eyes become more sensitive. Sometimes I'll get muscle cramps. I've tried supplementing my diet with a lot of protein, different kinds of protein, raw, steak, things like that, but nothing seems to work except for blood. If I can't find a will get animal's blood. If I can find a butcher, I can order blood, because some people use it for blood pudding or to make blood sausage, or barring that, I'll go to the supermarket and buy calf's liver and drink the blood off of that. Buy probably, depending on the size, 3 or 4 pieces of liver. I take it and put it in a blender and puree it and drink that. And that'll last me a couple of until I can actually get to a human donor. I mean, I don't know how you feel about eating liver in general. I mean, most people don't like liver, but it has a very metallic, very distinct flavor. If I'm not able to get people, if I'm not able to feed off of people, I do this about once a week. It's a little bit messy, but it's the way it is sometimes. The flavor's a lot more mild. It's not as gamey and harsh as beef is. Beef is really harsh. That's better. Now, generally, I don't like this flavor at all. It doesn't taste good. The aftertaste is not good. My initial reaction to it is pretty much disgust. Like if you're taking, it's like taking medicine. You have to do it. Otherwise, you don't get any better. With human blood, it's much more intense, and it lasts a lot longer. The effect of human blood will last maybe a few hours. The effect of animal blood will only last maybe 20 or 30 minutes. Oh, vegetarians definitely taste better because, well, first of all blood does sort of a thick taste to it. That's common. That's common of all types of blood. But depending on what a person has eaten, you can tell what they've eaten. If somebody eats a lot of garlic, the blood is kind of bitter. If they eat a lot of red meat, it's a lot thicker and stickier. It has a heavier flavor. But if somebody only eats vegetables, if somebody's a vegetarian, the blood is very, very sweet. And it's also a little bit thinner and it flows better and you can get more.
Like New York, LA also has a club scene to cater for its vampire community. Most of the clubs play hardcore industrial goth music and enforce some type of dress code, but one club Sue took me to had a VIP room with a difference.
We're at Club Communion right now, and this is the Vampire Club. This is the best club in LA. Has a feeding room which I've never seen in any other club around, and it's very carefully monitored. Only consensual feeders and donors are allowed upstairs. No one else is allowed up there. And we have somebody monitoring everything, make sure nobody gets hurt and everybody gets cleaned up properly. A little bit weird for somebody who's never seen it before. I've been involved in the scene in one form or another for over 10 years now, so seeing that is not terribly shocking. If anything, it usually makes me hungry. Everybody has different feeding habits. Some people will feed off of somebody on the neck, which which is very dangerous. Some people, the shoulder or the back, which is good because later on clothes cover it and it heals up faster and it bleeds really well. Other people like to cut someone's arm. Some people, they do get a some of the feeders do and some of the donors do. So some of them may be partaking in a little bit more groping one another at the same time as feeding. Fed in a long time where I have viewed people as being nothing more than fresh meat. It's good and they look healthy, then they're definitely a candidate.
Hollywood, I was about to meet someone with a human blood disorder so rare that only 1,500 people have been diagnosed in the United States alone. Porphyria is a disease which prevents the human body producing enough heme, the main pigment in blood that gives it its colour. If a person does not have enough heme in their system, they will eventually die. As a treatment, many porphyrians regularly undergo painful blood transfusions heme, while others prefer to take a more contested approach.
Drinking blood is like having the first cigarette of the day. You know, it races through the system. And for those of the smokers out there that are going to be watching this, it's not like that. It's like getting high. Well, it's known as porphyria. I've had it since the age of 17. I am photosynthetic. Can go out in sunlight for roughly about an hour, being a level 1 that the doctors describe me as. Anything beyond that, I start blistering. It's not a pretty sight.
Even though Raven's porphyria is level 1, which is relatively mild, he may still be at risk of liver failure if he went untreated.
When I first found out about it, I went through transfusions, hormonal treatments. I tried everything. The transfusions were very painful. The hormonal treatments caused me to be extremely violent. Going through the transfusions, the hormones and all that, drinking blood was the only option, so I pretty much took it. No serious negative side effects besides it tasted like crap.
Right now we're here in South LA, here to pick up my monthly supply, I guess.
The main reason I use a kosher butcher is because, well, they happen to be the only ones that don't add a certain dye called Red 42.
Normally I mention that I'm purchasing the blood for like blood sausage, and if he asks.
Red use is to make the meat redder. It's pretty much a preservative as well as it makes the meat look good.
This is definitely a substitute for human blood. It's just one of those things that, you know, it avoids.
You know, kosher butchers, they slit the animal. It's there.
But is it as good as human?
It's cold. It's but yeah, it does the trick. It does the trick when it has to.
To find a human donor in this day and age, it is a real nightmare. You have to go through and you got to make sure that you've known the person for a long time.
Yeah, I've already phoned up orders. Good about it.
For anyone else to drink blood, you're going to be in lots of pain, you're going to be puking, you're going to be a mess.
Is this a hard thing to try and buy from a butcher?
Actually, in most cases, yes, because they tend to freak out mostly. Thank you. Thank you very much. But yeah,
it's not something you find on the menu.
It's no. I mean, you can look down the whole list and you're not going to find it. It's just one of those things that, you know, they don't advertise.
There's people out there like blood fetishists and all that do this for kicks and thrills and what have you. I personally look at them and I'm like, I need this to survive. You're doing this for your thrills, your jollies, what have you.
It's a beef.
Yeah, you're right. It's beef.
If I don't drink blood, my liver will shut down, and unfortunately when your liver's gone, game's over.
I usually come to find some place a little secluded, try and find a little bit more away from people.
I am married, and my wife does know that I have porphyria, and yes, that I do drink blood.
You bring a container of some sort like this and, you know, just get rid of it.
She has made offers to me, and unfortunately, I cannot drink from my wife for the simple fact that she is a school teacher. It would be kind of hard to explain to her students why she has like cuts and scars upon her body. It would cause a lot of troubles within her work because people still view as a taboo.
Cheers.
To those who would think that, you know, that I'm a crackpot, they've never been lying in a bed with the sensation of razor blades ripping through their stomach. They've never had to time. They've never had to, you know, go through the humiliation of having to go to a butcher or the processes of having to get donors. So for those people that don't, I have to drink blood. All I have to say to them is, you know, I'm sorry, but this is my life.
Although Raven is convinced that consuming animal blood alleviates his condition, there is no medical proof that drinking blood can help any type of porphyria, and it is strongly contested by the medical profession. There are those, however, who firmly believe that drinking blood can, and it is not just the major cities where they can be found. I travelled to the sleepy suburbs, where I found that living with a blood drinker can push a relationship to its limits.
I wish the feeding were a little. I don't get anything out of it. I don't want it to be sexual all the time, but it would be nice if she didn't do it of a man.
I don't see asking point blank, I need blood, may I please cut you, as being clinical. To me, it's not about sex, it's a physical hunger.
About 3 years into the relationship, came out and she told me that she was kind of a vampire, and I didn't know quite to make of it. But she said that basically it wasn't the kind of immortal undead vampire. She didn't sleep in a coffin or anything like that, but she basically wanted to, you know, had a need to drink blood. And when she first suggested it, it didn't repulse me. It wasn't something I had ever thought about before, but it didn't turn me off and into a big argument or anything, and I kind of went, well, if that's what you like, you know, if that's what's going to be part of our relationship, then, you know, that's fine.
Scott and I have been together since about late 1993. We started out as friends who occasionally had a physical relationship and turned into something a lot more romantic. We are desperately in love with each other. We just haven't been getting along. Under ordinary circumstances, a week. It's been more like, well, every several months. If I actually asked him, can I feed, he'd probably quite happily oblige. I think he'd rather I were more romantic about it. When I get desperate, I have a hard time. It's just, please, let's just do this. We can be romantic later on, maybe, but see right now is that I have a hard time even asking.
Can you describe Sarah's mood when she hasn't fed for a while?
Really irritable, really cranky. Physically, she seems drained, she seems slower, physically depressed. She starts getting sick very easily. She starts needing a lot of sleep, getting very tired very easily, and after we feed, I can notice a difference. I can't say there's a physical difference or an emotional or energy difference, but she does seem to, or in reality. does seem to feel better, perk up, not be as irritable, be able to take longer walks, be able to do more without tiring out as easy.
Is this a good spot? I'm going to make a cut now. I'd explain why I need to drink blood to him if I actually understood why I need it myself. I've gone through various hypotheses. When I first came to myself, I was obsessed with finding out why I was a vampire, why anybody would be a vampire. I've stopped asking why. I don't think there is really a logical reason. I just know that I need, so I deal with the practical aspects of it. Right now, since I'm actually on camera, I'm not focusing quite as much. Under ordinary circumstances, I actually get high off of it. I wouldn't call it a sexual high, it's more of an emotional high. Definitely a physical high, too. A good mouthful. Not from him, because I don't cut him that deeply. There have been times that I got a good mouthful and I actually felt it almost going through my veins, and I know that's psychosomatic because there's no reason it should feel like that. Was my experience of it. I tend to drown in it.
There's something not... Right, you want caffeine-free? I don't think the feeding itself, the problems with the feeding, is really what's contributing to the major problems. If, you know, the feeding were to get easier, I think it would make it smoother.
I think it's a fairly large factor, actually. I find it rather difficult to ask him for blood for a number of reasons. I don't like being dependent. Him because I know he has very sensitive skin. It's not supposed to hurt at all. It hurts me when I see him wince.
I'm a very romantic person, and when we're doing something this close between the two of us, I don't need it to be like a sexual experience every time. I wouldn't mind it being incorporated into our sex, but I wish it would be a little bit more something between the two of us rather than just, I'm hungry tonight.
Sarah does not have regular access to vampire bars and cities, but she told me that she can still correspond with other blood drinkers via the internet, and she runs her own website, which now has over 300 members.
Websites and internet chat like the one I run are one of the major ways, sometimes the only way, that self-identified vampires can actually hook up with each other. I have my site up here, which I use to try to get rid of some of the more stupid myths that people hold. The questions that people ask, like, am I a vampire? I keep getting asked that a lot. I'm like, if you have to ask, you probably are. Let's see if I can get you to the personal section. Those are always interesting to read. Greetings all, I'm a 44-year-old male seeking to feed. I feel such a strong need to do this. I long to watch as you drink the blood from my veins. I know the food to avoid and those to eat to make my blood sweet for you. I ask nothing in return. I'm not looking for sex or a relationship except that as a vampire. I would also be interested in being part of a feeding circle if you have hungry friends. I look forward to serving you. Please contact me soon. It's like a fetish. Hey, you know.
I was amazed to find out that every year there are gatherings for all over America. Sarah and Scott usually attend them, but this year Sarah has decided to hold her own gathering, mainly for the blood drinkers that she's been corresponding with on the internet for over a year.
This will probably be the first time tonight that everybody here has met as a single group for my life. All of my parties end up turning either into orgies or like rated piles where people sit around reading Winnie the Pooh. I have no idea which this one's going to turn out to be. I don't think I need to be a psychic to sense that there's going to be some hanky-panky going on tonight. I just had a couple of in my lap. Now I'm about to check on a duck that I've been cooking.
What do you have planned? What's on the agenda tonight?
a little circle where we synchronize our energy, and then we're going to bleed into a cup of mead and drink from the cup.
Now I want everybody to draw energy with their left hand and give energy with their right around the circle. And we'll do this for a little while.
The mead actually is alcohol, so it sterilizes whatever germs might have been in the blood. Major stuff like HIV and things that the alcohol wouldn't kill, so this is just kill things like common. Nobody wants to come home with a cold.
First time I actually drank blood was 4 years ago. It's almost like a drug. I almost get buzzed off of it.
I mean, some people like the show. They like the flash and the glamour. But there are other people who just live their normal everyday lives, and they can walk down the street and you wouldn't look at them twice. Vampire can be anyone. It can be your next door neighbor. You would never know.
My time had run out, yet my subjects kept increasing. Even though the individuals I came across, for a multitude of reasons, there is still no logical explanation as to why. I know that blood drinking has been around since pre-Christian times, and in some weird way, the people I met seem to be carrying on this underground tradition, attaching it to the vampire myth. I'm still no closer to understanding why. What I do know is that this subculture is youthful and growing, and though I initially thought that it was confined to the United States, personal ads on the internet indicate that there are blood drinkers all over the world, including the UK.